This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry about
Well,
that.
that's okay. Most of my business comes from two places. So on the marketing side of things, um, digital marketing is kind of, well, sorry, typical B2B relationship based opportunity. So networking and referrals, and that is sort of like bucket one. Digital marketing is bucket two. And those are the two areas where we get um, prospective clients. Um, Last year, uh, we acquired 90 some odd thousand in net new MRR, and that was 15 new agreements, if I remember correctly. To be totally fair, one of those is a close to $30,000 a month agreement, and one of them is a $22,000 a month agreement. But the $22,000 a month agreement was a cold search on Google, so that paid the whole marketing budget for the next 2 years.
The 22,001, I think if, when you and I talked to you, you work, is it exclusively with law firms or predominantly with law firms?
Law firm is our preferred vertical.
Yeah.
I still haven't totally bought into the premise of a vertical specific MSP because I know what I don't do. I don't do hospitality. I don't do restaurants. I don't do sub 20 users. I don't do hotel. I don't do,
For example, was that $22,000 one or any of the bigger ones? Was that a law firm that was that
yeah,
big?
but both of those sizable agreements were law firms.
That's interesting.
And both of them were upgrades from like baby IT company to like mature MSP. So they were sort of upgrading from where they were. And as a matter of fact, right before I got on this call, I closed a $6,000 deal for the exact same thing, which is a migration into private cloud. So also a SEO. Oh, sorry, that was a pay-per-click lead. So I do all of this myself, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I'm kind of a nerd about it, so I'm really hands-on about how it works. I do have a marketing consultant who has kept all the balls in the air about 5 hours a week. So forgive me as I pivot into another part of this story. Enough people asked me about websites and digital marketing over the last 5 years, and I referred them out and lost a lot of potential profit that I built a marketing company 3 years ago. And so my marketing company is basically, I'm my marketing company's biggest client. And then when a client asks me for a website, I have a small team of people that do that work. Separate company managed by a separate person. But my marketing consultant, I hired full time for my marketing company, and half of her time is now Primo's time. So my Q1 rocks for marketing are, we're deploying HubSpot. We've used a micro section of HubSpot for a long time, but we're doing a full enterprise deployment of HubSpot. We are kicking off a LinkedIn marketing campaign through another company that's tied into HubSpot. We are rewriting all of our pay-per-click ads, and we are doing a full conversion kind of. This is a platform called Hotjar that does a lot of conversion analysis, and so we're leveraging Hotjar to really figure out what the website funnel looks like in getting new leads. Goal for this year is 2 $5,000 MRR clients per month, or the equivalent over the course of 12 months. And that's enough talking. I'm happy to like throw. I can literally, like, this stuff is just so interesting to me. So I'm happy to show you my website. I'm happy to show you whatever you guys want to see. I don't know if you have any specific questions and kind of help me steer and what's a good place to go.
Yeah. So
no questions yet. I just wanted to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Navigates through change as well. I mean, to have a retail store and say, hey, this isn't working out, I'm gonna spin it off and sell it, and then move into Primo and bringing in this many accounts every month. I think that's awesome. Like,
Thank
congratulations.
you.
That's really cool.
Working 14 hours a day in COVID has certainly helped.
That's all of us.
Thank you.
Ivan, I would acknowledge that. That's awesome. So congratulations, and it's exciting.
Thank you.
Question for you: How many team members do you have that are driving the stuff that you just described? So you do all of that stuff? Yeah.
Plus that 5-hour consultant.
It's like there's MSP owners where the MSP owners like a CCIE VCP like beast engineer, and when like the hardest problem comes up, like that's guy that jumps in and fix stuff. I'm not that guy. I spend all of my time, but I'm also like reality. Up until 8 months ago, I didn't have kids either, so I did this 100 hours a week and didn't care. So I had enough time to manipulate all these things, but also I enjoy them. Like I can, I enjoy diving into an AdWords account. I enjoy diving into back-end web design to understand a conversion funnel. Like that's my, that's the thing I'm best at in a business. It has been me up until now. I'm slowly gonna. Sorry, to be fair, with contractors, Upwork subs, like Elance, like trying to move around stuff. But it's mostly been me. I'm hoping to change that because I'm also responsible at the moment for owner-led sales. I'm the salesperson for the company, and one day I'd like to grow up and not do sales and marketing. So yeah, today's me.
So Ivan, I heard some EOS speak. Do you have an integrator?
Yes.
Okay, and they're overall ops.
My integrator, 30-year chief operating officer, EOS implementer, and ran much larger MSPs than mine before he came to work for me. And to be fair, he came to work for me like 6 months ago. So
because I know that your employee to revenue is pretty good. Or do you think you're understaffed right now?
Yeah. Do you know anybody who can hire? Five positions open currently, and part of hiring the integrator was releasing my responsibility in hiring and managing technical talent. We're also doing some offshoring stuff, which is going to help.
Do you mind sharing with people what you're paying the integrator?
$250,000 a year.
Okay, 250. Yeah.
Plus back end options at sale.
Okay. Cool. Are for the SEO stuff, if you're primarily legal, are you doing like SEO legal specific campaigns, or are you trying to like get those to pop? And
hell yeah. The more specific and the more long taily your stuff is, the more likely your competitors aren't doing it. A big thing I would say is in my market, the level of sophistication for digital marketing is materially lower than anything I'm doing. So it's very easy to crush my competition. Mm-hmm. It depends what your market looks like and who is there. And obviously people are getting more sophisticated about this. But I think that the low-hanging fruit is that more specific stuff. IT support for law firms is still an expensive pay-per-click keyword, but like we started writing blogs about law firm specific software. If you Google World Docs support or like Pro Law support, like Thomson Reuters and World Docs respectively both have garbage content on their own websites. So like we popped up to like top 3 searches for what is World Docs, and like basically it's like we did a research blog post. It probably cost us $150, and it just jams traffic.
Who's doing your writing?
Yeah.
My brother's girlfriend.
Okay.
My brother's girlfriend.
How often are you putting out content for the SEO stuff? Is it like a daily thing, or is it?
Not enough, not enough commensurate with the success that I'm having. But it's just to show that my competitors are doing even less, and they're also using repurposed content from
Mind Matrix or something.
Mind Matrix, Eulistic, Marketopia, all the various like vendors. Like a business like Marketopia or Eulistic cannot build a business around writing unique content for 10 MSPs. It's not possible. A really kick-ass blog article is $250, like on a Word document, and then formatting it into a really sick blog post is probably another $250 to $300 for your web dev. MSPs aren't used to paying $500 for one piece of content, but like, so one thing, feel free to do this. I think this is something that, if you look at like really amazing blog posts, like New York Times does like amazing blog posts with like infographics and like really like interactive things. Those blog posts probably cost them thousands of dollars in development, but like they probably get shared hundreds of thousands of times. So it's almost, to your point, it's not necessarily a quantity of blog posts. It is the regularity, but also the quality of the not just the writing, but also the design, like how you deliver the content. So our Q1 like big project is how to select the perfect MSP. And it's going to be like this cool interactive thing we're building on our website about how to select an MSP.
Okay. So you're at 4 million top line. How much money do you think you're spending annually on the content, having it written, the 250, 500 a piece, like ballpark?
My total marketing budget is less than 10% of revenue.
Okay. So I mean that's still, so you're spending around 400K on
Yeah, betting SEO, pay-per-click, consultants, HubSpot, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook and Instagram ad spend, pay-per-click ad spend, email marketing. Yeah, that's what we're spending.
None of your labor cost, if you will, is in there, right? Like it's all the outsourced consultant people. If you're the only person internally and you're not allocated, the 400K doesn't include a staff person in the organization because you're booking your time somewhere else.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. Just trying to.
Yeah,
like we use to on the 400 when you say a blog costs $500, is 250 of the 500 doing the research for the content of the blog? When you hire somebody, like who comes up with the idea and the content?
I do.
You do, and then so does somebody then have to research it for you?
So my process is basically I grew up in a past life I worked in the entertainment industry. My boss was the most powerful Christian agent in Hollywood. He represented all the major Christian writers and actors in Hollywood. And my boss lived on a voice recorder. So he would tell me to do things on a voice recorder. So what I do is my exercise, among other things, is walking. So I wake up at ungodly hours in the morning and I just walk for an hour and a half. And besides listening to books, I'll just talk into a voice recorder and I'll talk through ideas. So I'll talk, I'll like, hey, I have an idea for a blog post. Okay, this is the idea for a blog post. And I'll just vomit for like 45 minutes. And then I'll send it to my writer. My writer is not just known an MSP. She just understands how to listen to what she heard and research it. Then she formulates a blog. I'll generally give it a look, or my marketing consultant will give it a look, and then we'll end up with a blog post.
So there is a person that does a little bit of research and the writing for you. That's your resource that I think you just described.
Yeah, that's correct.
So can you give us like examples? Can you just tell us like for the law industry, what would be like your last 2 or 3 blogs? What would they have been about?
I don't know. I'm gonna
pull it up. Looking at your website now, I think about it, but just for an example of content. And while you're doing that, can I ask you another question as you're doing that? And then what is like for the law firm industry, if you could do whatever you wanted to do, how often would you produce blogs for your law firm industry? Once a month, twice a month?
So we're not as sophisticated as you're describing, although I aspire to be that sophisticated sometime this year, where we're parsing out topics. So the topics are at a whim. They're not that we're like, I write 3 law firm and 3 MSP specific blog. It's not like that. We're trying to pump out at least 2 blog posts a month. It's not always consistent. It's not always the same. But the hope is to evolve that. From a law firm standpoint, we wrote a blog post like in June. It was World Docs, the best document management platform, and that's popped up pretty highly in Google. I wrote one. I wrote one called. I didn't write one. We wrote one called "Is Meraki Worth the Price?" And that's like a good question. So anytime you come up with a question that you're answering a lot, that's a good blog post. It's also a good YouTube video if you're doing like podcasts or like videos for your business. We'll get there. I'm building a new office with a YouTube studio in it, and so we'll be doing more video. But I think answering like the questions that you obsessive, like anytime somebody complains about the price of Meraki, I can just be like, hey, here's a blog post we wrote about this.
So can I ask you a second question about pay-per-click just generally, then with the different flavors of it?
Yep.
Like how do you decide how much to spend, first of all, like as a budget? Is there a threshold that if you spend less than X, you get shit, and over X, you get a lot of,
So a proper pay-per-click consultant will do an audit, just like we'll do an audit of an IT environment before we provide a quote. And that would include an assessment of the market, the keywords you're going to target, how aggressive you want to be, what your competitors are paying, and then based on that, they would assign a budget. My budget's like just shy of $5K a month right now.
Yeah, so it is like that order of magnitude anyway. And then second of all,
I'm sorry, 5K is a lot.
Yeah,
like the average I see being successful is around 3K a month. Anything less than $1,000 or less, you're not going to get results.
That's kind of where I was going. So there is a threshold amount that we can identify that spending like $500 is almost like spending nothing, right?
Don't do it. It's a waste of time. $500 is, so you should be paying whoever is managing your pay-per-click around 20% of your ad budget just to manage your pay-per-click account.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. And then the second thing is like month to month, like what's the decision process about what you do differently month to month? Is it keywords? Is it doubling down? What's the thought process there? I've never quite been able to crack that code.
In terms of
so it's, you spend 5,000, you got this kind of response, which we'll go through in a second. How do you decide what to do differently in month 2?
So part of it is a lot of it is data. So the awesome part about AdWords is AdWords pumps a lot of data into tools like Hotjar, Ahrefs, Moz, Majestic SEO. So basically, we use those tools to basically see how. The easiest thing to say is if you get a client or 2 on a single ad, put more money in the ad. If you haven't gotten a single click on a particular ad, or every click you get on that ad is a shit click, stop spending money on the ad. I cannot, this is a big one for me, is experiment a lot. You talked about law firm specific ads. So we've done a lot of things around law firm specific ad. We've tried positive marketing versus negative marketing. So like Primo is the best IT company in Miami versus like, is your IT company shit? Then you should hire us. So negative marketing works materially better than positive marketing. Don't know why. I don't like it, but it's true. It also
but do you do like paired testing? I mean, do you do that?
Yeah, we do some A/B testing. So Google has a platform. I think it's called Google Insights. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Google Insights is their A/B testing platform. So we do some basic A/B testing. The best one that we've had success with is everybody, I assume, on this call has something that says, schedule a free IT consultation or schedule a free network assessment or something like that on their website. So we play with all variations. We settled on request a free instant quote. It's not free, it's not instant, but it does convert. That's converting somewhere between 6 and 10 times a month on our website. So I would highly suggest getting away from scheduling anything, because people don't schedule shit online, and go to get giving them some instant results. Our policy, or technically my policy. So someone submits a request a free quote on our website. I get a Slack notification that something came in on my website. My internal policy is I call the person back in 5 minutes. The person is like, "Wow, that was really fast. I just filled out the form." And I said, "That's how fast you can expect us to respond to your support requests." And then they melt, and then I sell the shit out of them.
So can you help me understand the free and instant, what was it, whatever quote wasn't what you said? So how do people respond when it isn't what you said it was going to be? That seems like starting off the relationship on a really bad foot.
Yeah, I agree. It's literally never, and it's never, I absolutely agree with you. And nobody's ever been like, can you hear me?
I can't now. You cut out in the middle.
You just cut out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, by the way. I'm big into like delivering on what I said. Nobody's ever complained about it.
So when you said it's not free, you charge for quotes.
Yeah.
And then what was the thing? It's not instant. What was the other thing you said?
Yeah. If you go online to like lendingtree.com to get a mortgage quote, it'll say, get your free quote. It'll ask you like 9,000 questions, and then it'll make you create an account, and then it'll check your credit, and then maybe it will give you a free quote, or it'll refer you to like a mortgage consultant. That's right. Because they want you to convert. Same concept, right? Like I can't give someone a quote from IT services with telling me how many users they have. I can give them an estimate, but I'd rather just call them on the phone and just talk through the issue with them. So I essentially get the first phone call with the offer. And at the end, I do give them a quote. It's just not free and it's not instant. Nobody's complained.
Nobody's ever challenged you on that. Okay.
Never have. Now, if I get a prospect on the line where I really want the account, or if it's like a blue chip account, or if it's like the perfect fit, I may give them the cost of the proposal. I may give them the assessment fee as part of that. But it's definitely not instant. Instant to me is like you click the instant button and you get a quote in your email. But what it does say, I do have like a reply email that says, "Hey, thanks so much for submitting your request. One of our IT consultants will get back to you in just a second." Like their phone rings, I'm on the phone, and we start the process. So there's an instant feeling to it.
So with the inbound world, are you doing some pretty intense qualification on the phone? Like how much of it's junk? Is it like half that you're like, I'm not going to schedule?
70%.
70% is junk?
Yep. Okay. One benign user is probably 5 out of 10 leads, 6 out of 10 leads a month. And I'm just programming a workflow in HubSpot that basically will so I refer leads under a certain size to 2 IT companies, depending on if they pick 1 to 9 or 10 to 19, it'll refer them to a company. It'll automatically copy me. Like now I do a personal introduction.
You wouldn't even talk to the 1 to the 9 or the 10 to 20, even if you could get them to meet your minimum?
10 to 19 I'll probably talk to. Okay. To be fair, and somebody brought it up, I have a staffing problem right now. Oh yeah, you brought it up. I have a staffing problem right now. So even if I wanted to like acquire a new client, I'm playing catch up on staffing right now.
Okay, got it. So what's because with as you continue to scale, so it seems like, so last year did how much recurring revenue? 90,000 you said new?
90 some odd net new, yeah.
And what'd you do the year before that ish?
Hang on a sec. This thing is not opening for me now. I apologize. It's not 90. I'll tell you that much. It's not 90. Last year was awesome.
How do you continue to scale this? So you have obviously marketing's working, and then now you're running out and doing all the deal processing, which is pretty intense. So is your next move to hire someone into marketing or hire someone into like business development? And have them
I've no interest in hiring. So I hired a sales admin who's going to basically do all the busy work associated with sales. Yep. So she'll probably do. I'll probably still do the first phone call.
Yeah.
I'll pre-qualify, then she'll schedule the assessment, engineer will do the assessment, bring me back the assessment in a formatted way.
So you still want to play that role?
I just want to sell stuff. It's like it's so easy to sell. Like how many deals could you sell? You know, like if I was doing 3 closing appointments a week, like I would be elated. And I think I can close 2 deals a month through that. I think the biggest problem, to your point, is how the fuck do you onboard that many clients? The answer is my COO in his prime was onboarding 17 clients a month. So I don't know. It's his fucking problem. Like that's why I hired someone to do it.
Just so you know, like our goal is 2 simply because of that reason. Like we would consider 24 clients an awesome year.
Oh man, I would too, by the way.
Did you give your COO the authority to tell you not to sell?
I'm
just curious. So can they say don't sell?
So
statistically, he needs to know why you're asking these questions. Sorry.
What?
I'm not sure he knows your history, Ryan. He doesn't know why you're asking these questions. That's not fair.
So just so you know, Ryan broke 2 MSPs.
Do what?
He broke two MSPs. Like he was in a sales role for an MSP previously.
Yeah.
So he sold like 18. Remind me of your Detroit days. Was it 18 the first year? Yeah.
We did a lot, but we ran into the same problem of like we got told to stop selling frequently.
So I'm to answer your question, it hasn't happened yet, but I've asked it. I've said, hey, do you need me to slow down and focus on other shit? And the leadership team always overrides me and says, no, moron, keep selling. So I keep doing that. I believe, and this is part of, this is why I have mentors and this is why I have smarter people around me to help me make decisions like this. At the end of the day, it's just a matter of hiring and positioning the right senior level leadership to accommodate the hiring and management of a team to do the work that I've said. The COO was a pivotal part of that, right? Our service manager was a pivotal part of that. I think that realistically, and to be fair, I'm a passive salesperson. I sell deals that come to me. I'm not like I follow up twice on a proposal and I stop talking to people. If you're not interested, and people come back in spades. Because either they pick a cheaper provider and the provider doesn't deliver, or they just delay in making a decision. HubSpot is going to change all of that for me, and so is the sales admin. So I think that will create a little bit more of a onboarding problem for us. But I'm hoping by the time I create that problem, which will be like at the beginning of Q2, that we'll have staffed up enough to accommodate it.
What did you do before you had the ops person? Were you still in the day-to-day, or was it your service manager you're relying on?
I think just like every other MSP, everybody did everything. I definitely was the ops person, but I also had 2 good people in service that were sort of handling the service management, like project management role. We've never been a project-heavy company. Like we don't do projects for non-MSP clients, but our MSP clients created 91 projects in the last 6 months of the year. Like we didn't have a project manager, so we like moved a guy into like we're just trying to be as flexible as possible.
Are you subscribing to operating models like the Pikachu methods or anything? Like, is there anything that you guys are doing operationally or?
SLI is what we subscribe to more than anything.
SLI, okay.
Once you get the customer, so you get the lead, you get the lead, the guy, whatever, pings you on the website, you call him back, you work on the deal, and I'm assuming you close it. What do you do after that with that customer?
I throw the MSP into the service department and say a prayer and go look for another client. That's really what my current responsibility is. But yeah, I have no involvement in onboarding. I have no involvement in. My responsibility is to bring assigned MSA and explain to them what I sold.
Right. And then do you talk to that customer through the process at all, or do you do any kind of client account management, or do you literally just turn it over and then you go to the next one? You don't even talk to.
So you're harping on another challenge. So the reality is I'm doing more. So I'm currently accountable for the account management box on the org chart. But that is my next strategic hire. Is like it was supposed to be an acquisition in Q4 that didn't work out. It's probably either buying a company and having the owner be the lead account management person, but yeah, I'm involved. But I've got it to the point where my 2 account managers, who are much more inside sales and account management, understand that if they can get me on a call for 4 minutes and I can just sail them through something, that I don't mind. Like, to me, I like quick interactions. So I don't have tremendous amount of involvement with the clients after the fact. I've got the team is pretty much handling problems. I'm handling more opportunities.
So let's go back to how you get the clients though. So your typical week, it sounds to me like you're going to do some blogging and some posting. You're going to do some PPC thing. Are you going to do LinkedIn advertising each week or each month or something like that?
LinkedIn advertising is really expensive.
Okay.
I don't think it works very well. But we are doing like LinkedIn. So I've got like beta testing something with a guy that I met through some friends. He's got like a LinkedIn bot that also ties with, have you ever heard of a platform called, hang on, I'm gonna find out what it is. It's,
is it for connections even?
It's called Ask, oh no, it's like Vid Ask or Ask Vid. It's basically like, the left side, like if you click on a link, the left side of your screen is a video of me talking and the right side is my calendar. And so we send a LinkedIn request to a person and a message that says, hey, like we're an IT company in Miami and we love working with law firms. Here's a quick message from our CEO. And you click and it's me and it's like, hey, Michael, I really know that you're an awesome law firm in town and we really love an opportunity to earn your business. We work with law firms like blah, 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 blah. Here's my calendar to the right. Love 15 minutes of your time.
What's that called? What's the tool?
I'm going to find it now. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Just email it to me.
Yep, for sure.
And then the other thing was, so what, on a week-to-week basis, like, what are you doing that drives inbound leads besides the things we talked about so far? You got PPC, you got the blogging.
I mean, pre-COVID, I was doing more networking. I was actually physically going places. So I'm an EO. I've been in a B&I group for a long time that I'm probably going to bail from this year. I'm involved with a lot of nonprofits. That's a big source of business for us.
So have you substituted just LinkedIn connecting for like networking, basically?
Two separate things. Those are 2 separate things for me. I'm not an active LinkedIner. I think LinkedIn is still it's materially better than it used to be, but I don't buy things from LinkedIn, so I don't particularly sell things on LinkedIn.
Okay, cool. And then with COVID networking going out, what else would you be doing on a week-to-week basis to drive leads besides blogging? And you mentioned email and so that's some kind of outreach, like email-based outreach or something, correct?
Yeah, so HubSpot is going to start doing some email-based outreach. We send like an email newsletter once a quarter, but we're going to do sales emails once a month. We're also going to do inside sales emails. We've never done that before, like selling our existing clients more stuff through email. It's never been something we've done before.
Good move.
Yeah, I like small groups. I also like I like the premise of being a connector. I like bringing alike people together. And so I think it naturally happens just in business, but also like, so I used to host a monthly dinner on a Monday. And I would just invite 50 people that I think are cool and we'd have dinner together and just talk about stuff. But there were always people that you would never find at a Chamber of Commerce. You would never find at a B&I event. They're just like cool. Very successful people. I'm involved with United Way here in Miami, and I took over the Small Business United initiative, which is like their small business giving group, and it sucked and it was boring. And so I don't know if everybody's seen Hot Ones before, like the show Hot Ones. So it's basically like an interview show on YouTube, and the guy basically interviews really cool celebrities, and he makes them eat really spicy wings while he's interviewing them, and they're from like the least spicy to like obscenely spicy. But the cool thing about the show to me is he asks incredibly thoughtful questions that he gets from interviewing people around that person's life before the interview. So I'm doing that. So I interview a ridiculously cool. So I'm interviewing a guy actually in 2 weeks. His name's Joel Gandera. He has the largest e-commerce store for gay erotic men's underwear. He's a Cuban immigrant that came here on an overcrowded raft, self-made millionaire, retired by the time he was 31, and he works 3 hours a week, which is basically 2 90-minute L10 meetings. And then he spends time with he's like 37 years old and he spends time with his 4 kids. He's just like such an interesting guy. So I just like, I interviewed his wife today. I interviewed his business partner yesterday, and they gave me a bunch of crazy stories about him that I'm going to use in my questions for him. So those types of like networking interactions are more genuine to me. They're not bullshit business card passing things. And I think that generates a different type of relationship with prospective clients.
And the other thing I was going to ask you was the blogging. When I say when you do blogs, are you doing video versions and then written versions, or do you mix video and written, or is it all one or the other?
So I have a degree in film, and I don't do nearly enough video. Video is absolutely where it's at, but it does require significant infrastructure and time to do it well. I hate doing sloppy shit. So for me, I don't want to build out a video if it's not a quality video. So I think that's, we're building out our office now, part of building out a YouTube studio is in there, so I could walk in there and like talk on camera, but that I have the right lights, I have a good quality camera, it can be edited, and so on. So I think that's the future of our marketing ties a lot to video, because you can also run AdWord ads on YouTube. And they're really inexpensive. Some other stuff that we do that I don't know how much you guys are doing, but it's ridiculously low hanging fruit. Retargeting is a must. Retargeting through Google Ads, and more importantly, retargeting through Facebook and Instagram is so cheap. For those of you who don't know what it is, but if you go to my website, you'll get a cookie dropped, and you will not stop seeing me on Facebook and Instagram for the next 30 days. You'll see my face, you'll see ads, you'll see all kinds of stuff around my company. So retargeting is a big part of that. And then now I can use that data and serve up whatever type of ads I want to you through those platforms.
That's interesting. So do you do like webinars, or do you
don't do webinars, don't do events, not because I don't think they're a good idea, I just don't. I don't know. So I'm doing webinars and like doing events is the best way to take MDF money from vendors. It's hard to get your vendor to give you MDF money to run AdWords ads. Although I'm close with 2 vendors. So I think that finding creative ways to do those types of things, it just requires like a lot of work. Again, anything worth doing is worth doing right. Doing a webinar, if you've ever been on a really bad webinar, the amount it turns you off to something is very easy, and we haven't perfected that process.
Funny. Any other questions for you? So the other question I had for you was on the pay-per-click side. You mentioned that spending less than, you're at 5,000, you say less than 3,000 is kind of pointless. Is there some magic for spending more than 5,000? So is the magic in pay-per-click understanding what to change kind of month to month without, doubling your investment or anything?
Michael, I thought he said less than $1,000 was not worth it.
Less than 1,000 was not good, yeah. I think we lost some.
1,000 is typical.
He just got a lead.
Oh, is that what it is?
Slack just lit up.
No, he lost his audio.
Well, one thing that he was pointing out is that if you hire someone to do pay-per-click, for example, we've used 3 different firms to do PPC over 5 years. And they, we paid anywhere from $500 to $750 a month just to have someone manage the campaign. So if you're doing $500 in pay-per-click, if you have someone actively managing it, then you're spending more money on the management than you are on the PPC. And if you're doing it yourself, you got to be great at it. You know, part of the thing with PPC is you got to be really great at negatives, because you know your budget is going to be worn out and killed by negatives. So you got to pay a lot of attention to this. And so, you know, I've seen some MSP owners just get really good at it themselves, and they spend, you know, 10 hours a week, you know, messing with it. If you're not going to do that, you got to hire someone. And if you're going to hire someone worth their salt's going to charge you money, and they probably still don't know what they're doing. So, you know, we were spending at our peak, we were spending probably $2,000 a month in just Google pay-per-click. And then on top of that, we were spending, you know, the management fee on it.
How much were you spending, Luke?
We were spending, you know, but like I said, we work with 3 different consultants. So, and generally around $750 a month. And then on top of that, we were spending about $2,000 just on the PPC. So, you know, total all in, we were at about $3,000 a month. And we never made it work for ourselves. And that just might be because the 3 companies we use aren't as good as, you know, Ivan is, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, I can't imagine dedicating just $500 to it, you know, but you really got to pay it. It's a real science. Like the negatives are really critical. You know, understanding business hours and, you know, all this kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot going on in there. So
we also use that term long tail, right? That's pretty important in getting basically return on it.
Yeah, Luke Luke said something about office like hours and things like that. So budget optimization is really important. And so you could think you're spending $7,000 a month at pay-per-click, but if you just change the way the hours work, you know, like I don't need to serve ads at 2 o'clock in the morning on Sundays. Another thing you can do is you can take an IP, public IP list for all of your clients and blacklist all of your clients' IP addresses from AdWords so you don't serve ads to your own clients. You should definitely be serving ads with all of your competitors' names.
Yeah. Now, Ivan, you manage their PPC personally, or do you have a consultant that does that?
My marketing company manages my own PPC. So yeah, I do manage my own PPC.
Yeah. And that's the trick, right? Because we went through 3 different companies and couldn't make it work. And
so what you know, couldn't make it work because you weren't getting enough leads? Was that the criteria for it didn't work?
Yeah, not really, because I don't really care about clicks. You know, to me, it's about what deals did I sell. And over the years, we sold some good deals over it, but it just didn't pay for the investment that we were making at about $3,000 a month. So the question that I've always had is, having worked with 3 different consultants, is it just that you have to do it yourself to get it to work, or we might not have had the right 3 companies doing it, but we cycled through 3 different firms to try to make that piece work and just never made it.
I think the expectations of return on investment for all MSPs is outrageously too high. You should treat MSP ad-based marketing the same way a personal injury law firm does. Like Morgan & Morgan needs 1 case per year on their $100,000 a month spend, just 1 case. You get one $20,000 a month client, forget their MRR, but how about like all the projects they're going to create, all the relationships they'll get for you. Like, so to me, I think that it's less about the dollar number. And by the way, you mentioned number of deals you were closing. Make sure not to confuse marketing with sales. Marketing, the goal of marketing is to bring you a qualified lead within a certain criteria. So whatever your criteria is, and you can make it as narrow as possible. The more narrow you make it, the harder it is to market to it. You know, I would encourage you, if you have the capability, to overspend on marketing intelligently. You will learn a tremendous amount, particularly if you have the right people managing it. And it's very easy. Like ask whatever pay-per-click company that you're working with how many dollars of pay-per-click, how much pay-per-click are they managing as a company? Anybody that's managing less than, companies that are managing hundreds of thousands of dollars are expensive.
Hey, Ivan, does HubSpot do all this stuff?
HubSpot is just HubSpot's like ConnectWise. It doesn't do shit. It basically makes all the stuff you do come into one place. So like it'll show you your ads, it'll show you some reports, but it won't make ads for you.
No, of course.
Hey, Ivan, you mentioned you felt really strongly about adding competitors onto your AdWords, and the way you said that sort of leads me to believe like that's probably one of your higher target retargeting things. Would that be an accurate statement, or am I reading too much into that?
Or retargeting. Yeah.
Maybe not retargeting, but just selling on their names. Yeah.
Yeah, like it depends how much of an asshole you want to be. I believe that my relationships with my clients are strong enough that if they got served up an ad by a competitor, they would click off of it and not care. But that's marketing. Like you look at like some company, large companies that will directly use their competitor's name in their marketing. We're at the point where we're going to start serving up landing pages. So if I click one of my competitors' names gets clicked on one of my ads, it'll say like, "Are you happy with blah blah MSP as your current IT provider?" So you can be pretty aggressive with it. I mean, I've had I had a conflict with an MSP because I was doing that in a peer group that I'm in, and I was like, this is war. Like, so I don't know. I think part of it is they asked me to take down the ads. I did. It was the right thing to do. But I'm not going to take down ads for competitors that haven't asked me to do so, because frankly, my competitors are running ads on my name too. And I think that they're catching on to my tactics, and I'm just trying to stay a step ahead of them.
Help me on your, besides lawyers, do you actually target any other niches, like where you would write a blog specifically for them kind of thing?
So my niche on my customer, I never remember this word. My target customer profile is men and women in suits going into office buildings. So whatever vertical matches with that, so CPAs, private equity, family office, that all that fits for me. We also do, there's a section in South Florida called Doral and Hialeah. It's kind of like our industrial district. It's a lot of warehousing and distribution, freight forwarding, like men and women in polo shirts going into warehouses, same concept.
Those two different people, they get two different blogs from you or two different kinds of marketing messages then? So in other words, you consciously write blogs for specific groups like that?
You're asking the right questions for things I'm not doing yet. Yes, absolutely. That's the right thing to do. Very specific contact. I'm not there yet. I think that's what will force me to be very niche around law firms, because I could spend all day writing content for law firms and not spend enough time writing content for accounting firms. I think at some point, part of it will also be whittling down what works the best. Not blogging is not the best.
Let me ask you one other question too. So do you have, did you finish answering it on my interruption?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, if you have any other questions, yeah.
So then outside of, so do you have like a prospecting database too that's separate from all this stuff too? So do you collect people that you want to do email campaigns to, and how did you build that list? Does it come from
Upwork? I have two stay-at-home moms that I've built a relationship with on Upwork, and they build contact lists for me. They'll rip phone calls and get me the information that I need to make prospecting decisions. We're about to expand into Fort Lauderdale, and we're starting to build lead lists in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah. And what do you do with those lists? Do you email to them, or what do you do to them?
Yeah, so we do cold emails. I aspire to one day have SDRs and do some calling Not quite there yet. Something I figured out this year, which was really awesome. I'm happy to share this spreadsheet with you guys. So when PPP was released, they released obviously publicly the names of all the companies and how much money they got. Part of that list is their SIC code, which is like their industry. So it literally tells you the name of the business, the address, the industry that they're in, and how much money they got in PPP. Anybody who got more than $1 million in PPP is a prospective client. So like literally, like it created an automatic leads list for us. I gave that to my lead sourcing kind of crew on Upwork, and they started like ripping and adding contact information. Again, something now is going into HubSpot, is going to evolve. Like HubSpot uses a principle called life cycle, which is their main like criteria for establishing where a prospect is.
Yeah, you're using a term, I'm old, so this might mean that what do you mean by ripping? When they say they're ripping?
Like ripping cold calls is like making a lot of cold calls. Sorry.
So they're confirming all the information over the phone, basically.
Yeah, like I early on in my business, I did some cold calling with one company and then internally, and like I was always taught like get one new piece of information each time. So sometimes I'll have them call and be like, "Hey, this is Joe, calling from whatever. I just want to know how many employees do you have in your office?" Click, and like call back 6 weeks later and ask another question. I'll also have 2 different people call to get more information. But the getting quality lists is really important. Databases like InfoUSA and like buying databases is not. Hang on one sec. Sorry. I don't find that to be very useful. It's a lot easier to create. I think, Michael, you mentioned when we spoke, like top 100 clients. Like if you got these 100 clients, I love that premise. So I actually did that after we spoke. So I have 100 target clients, and I'm committed to getting 10 of them this year. It's one of those things where it's like, I like the premise of there's being salesy, and then there's like, what does it take to get your business? like let's talk for real. Like if you tell me never ever because your face is funny, all right, cool, I'll cross you up my prospect list. But if it's like, hey, we're currently in contract, all right, cool, let me know when your contract's up. If it's like, hey, your price is too high, okay, cool, let's work on the pricing. Losing a deal and not understanding, like I will pay people to tell me why they told me no. That's one of my favorite things is the post mortem of a sales opportunity where that we didn't win.
Yeah,
I probably learned more there. I mean, I've changed policies in our company because of that.
So Ivan, I'll have you ask our salesperson down at the lower left, Ryan Eichler, your question that you and I talked about that I didn't have an answer for when we talked last time. So you say that what happens to you a lot is you'll go to a law firm, and then because of your responsiveness, like they'll contact you, you'll contact them right back, and you get like, you get in, you get your network assessment, and then you do you do the work and you get a proposal, and they say, yeah, we're going to make a decision. And then is it that they ghost you at that point?
Yeah, I guess the problem is we're first in.
Yeah.
And in a bidding process, first in usually doesn't do well. Our current remediation is to tell people that our next available network assessment is 10 days out. So at least now I'm second in usually. It's working better.
So we try, Ivan, we try to be first in, last out. So we see it as a race to the assessment. So we do that as fast as, like, we have the same 5-minute. When I was at another firm and we were SEO heavy, Doug Miller and I were talking this day, and I was like, you need a 5-minute SLA on those things. So like very similar process. Like it comes in, we respond within 5 minutes. We would schedule a 30-minute pre-qualifying call where we're basically trying to talk them out of meeting with us, making sure they get, minimum spends. We would schedule the network assessment, and then we would tell them we want to present to you last. So which would prompt us to discuss where they're at with other MSPs. Who else are you working with? Where are you at in their process? When are they going to give you that proposal? We want to go after them. And most people would be like, you're the only one who asked? Cool, right? So we'd always try to be first in, last out is what we do.